Hey guys, it is once again time for me to do my monthly wrap up. However, if you guys saw my mid-month wrap up, you would know that I actually am only going to go over the last books that I read for this month because I did the read a book a day for 14 days challenge in the beginning of the month. And so I already went over the first 14 books that I read for the first 14 days of July in my mid-month wrap up. And so this wrap up only covers the rest of the books that I read for July, which I was in a bit of a slump after that challenge. I burnt myself out and I only really read 6 more books after that, which is still a lot. It's still a lot. So I'm only going to go over those 6 books in this wrap up. So this one should be short. This one should be a lot shorter video than my previous wrap up. So buckle up. Let's go over those ones. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the first book that I finished up really, because I started this one before my challenge and I couldn't really finish it up during my challenge, so I finished it after my challenge. And that book was His Grace the Duke by Emily Rath. And I was listening to this on audio. But this book is just a continuation of Beautiful Things that I had started in June. And I actually enjoyed this book more than Beautiful Things. This is again a continuation of that story, so I'm not really going to get into the plot. But I like this one better because I think my biggest issue with Beautiful Things is that you focus on the activities, and there's not really a lot going on in that time period. It's you're focusing on gossip and what they're doing. And like I said, I think in my previous review of that book, is the biggest gossip you have, and what they're doing is riding horses, playing, what was it, the cricket. You're not really doing it. There's not much happening in that time period. So this one, you focus more on the characters and their tenuous relationships. There's a lot higher stakes. So I love that aspect more because we're focusing on them and not really what's really happening as far as activities wise and the gossip. I mean, there's still gossip, but it's more on the characters and what's happening with them specifically. And I liked that more. It still drags here and there because, it is what it is, but I still loved that honing in on them more than what's going on, or the lack thereof of what's going on. So I enjoyed this more, and I gave this book 4 stars. The third book in this series focuses on different characters, but it's a spin-off of this book series. And I'm interested to see where this will the third book will differentiate from these 2 books, because I don't know how, because it's still a reverse harem and it's still set in this time period, obviously, since it's a spin-off with different characters set in the same world. So I'm interested to see how it's going to differentiate from this, what's happening, because is it going to do the same gossip, the same issues? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued how Emily Rath is going to switch things up, But yeah, I enjoyed this one a lot better, for sure. Next up is Twisted Pawn by LJ Shen, and I really don't know where to begin with this one. It is the continuation of a series. The first one is Bad Bishop, and we are following the sister of the MMC from the first one, and the brother of the FMC from the first one. So yeah, the brother of the FMC, he's in charge of choosing who the FMC in this one's husband is going to be. So he's supposed to arrange her marriage. They have some really mixed history, and yeah, it's a mafia book, very toxic type of thing. The FMC in here, she's a loose cannon. That's really all I'm going to say about this book. The plot is kind of all over the place, to be honest. I really can't really distinguish what it is. It's everywhere. I, if you can, if you can garner from my demeanor, didn't like this book. And it's really disappointing because I typically love LJ Shen's books. But this one really didn't hit, missed its mark with me, mainly because of the FMC. The FMC is absolutely insufferable. Um, and I could not get behind her. She is so antagonistic to the point where I'm like, why do you keep doing the things that you're doing? Like, you know that this is not going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. Like, she could just run, but she chooses to, like, turn people in, or like she's always working against her best interest in this book, and it's the most infuriating thing ever. And and she's always playing the victim, always expecting her brother or someone to pick up the pieces of her own mistakes. And yes, she goes through a lot, like she has PTSD and she has trauma of her own, and I don't think that what she goes through in her past, like her childhood, should be swept under the rug. That is some serious stuff. But I don't think it gives her an excuse to treat people the way that she does, and it's upsetting. And the way that she treats the MMC in here is, whoa. Man tries to give her the world, and she's like, I'm gonna give you crumbs of any type of affection. And I'm like, this MMC actually deserves better. I've never disliked an FMC more than I dislike the FMC in this book. And there's like a moment, it's like 90% of the way into this book, and I might cut out, so here I am. But what I was saying is that there is a sexual act between the characters that actually made me nauseous, because the MMC obviously doesn't want what happens to happen. I hated every moment of it. Also, there is a miscommunication trope in here. Absolutely diabolical. No. So I gave this book 2.5 stars, and that is being severely generous. And I think I only gave it that high of a rating is because I loved the MMC. I loved him because he was so devoted, even though I don't know why he was devoted, but he was so devoted to her, and I love a devoted man, and that's what he was. So that's the only reason I gave it 2.5 stars, is because of how devoted he was, and she did not deserve that. Next up, I read The Dark Inner Veins by M.K. Lobb, and this is an arc, comes out on August 25th, and so I won't say too much about it. I will say it is well written, and I think the concept is interesting and is executed well enough, but it all boils down to the FMC. If I'm going to be put into one POV, and that POV is the FMC, I need to be able to root for that POV. I don't like her. I don't care for her. I actually hate her. So I don't like the book, because I don't like her. So I gave the book 3 stars. So take that with what you will. Next up, I have A Stage Set for Villains by Shannon J. Spann. I'm not really going to tell you the plot because I think it's best if you go in semi-blind. Just know that this has like magic in it, a little bit of like god-like magic. We get like Dionysus in there. That's really all I'm going to give you. It's fun. It's a good time. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. We have like essentially like a love letter to theater kids. That's what I really garnered from this book. I really loved the way this book was set up, because it's in like acts and scenes, which might get irritating for some, but as a theater kid myself, I loved the whole setup. And even like the formatting of the book, which makes sense in the long run, but it's kind of set up like script, which again, if you are not a theater kid, you might find that annoying or just kind of disruptive, but it makes sense in the long run if you continue on with the book. It's honestly really brilliant. It's a good time. I loved the way this book was all set up. It was genius, honestly. The formatting of it all, just the tidbits of, with the Dionysus, and I loved everything about the way this book was created. The tension between the characters was building. The only real problems I had with this book was, again, the FMC. Her really main character trait throughout, like, at least acts 1, 2, and the intermission was anger. They really honed in on rage being her like main distinguishable character trait, and that kind of infuriated me. So that was kind of frustrating, but it does make sense in Act 3. But I was still being like, can we be done with this being her only character trait? But it again makes sense. I also found there to be some questions I would like answered, or some loose ends to be tied up by the end of the book. But overall, I really enjoyed the story. Again, I thought it was like a love letter to theater kids. It felt like coming home, to the stage. I really loved this book. I did give this book 4 stars. Like I said, I did have some issues. There was also some pacing problems. It was a little tedious in the middle. It does grab you in the beginning, and by Act 3, I was locked in. But again, it was a bit tedious somewhere in the middle. But I think it was definitely worth the read. And if you can get over the formatting, it is worth it. It is so good. It is so good. The plot twist, did not see them coming. My entire book club shocked with the plot twist. Shocked. So definitely worth a read. 4 stars. So good. Next up, I have Tempting Venom by Rena Kent. Now, this is the 3rd book in this series and the final book in the series. Now, I didn't think I would love another MMC in the Rena-verse more than I loved Julian from Hunting the Villain. And Preston, he's pretty neck and neck with Julian, because I loved Preston so much. He's just as unhinged, he's just as petty, and I loved him to my very bones. So I'm not really going to get into the plot, because this book kind of takes place over the course of the first 2 books in the series. So yeah, you get the events that are happening from the first 2 books in this book. So I'm not really going to go over the plot line. But it's really just Marcus and Preston's story, what's going on behind the scenes of the first 2 books, but their story. And I loved it. I loved it. Preston has a lot of trauma, PTSD, and he has internalized a lot of his trauma and gotten some homophobia from that. And so he's lost. And I loved him working through that, through, his feelings with Marcus. And yes, it is very confusing for him. And just seeing him go through that is honestly a little cathartic. And I just really enjoyed going through that with him. And it is a longer book, but it's so worth it. And like I said, I love Preston. He's so funny. And there's a character, the FMC in well, the love interest in the first book. Her name is Dahlia, and I crack up every time because Preston is so dedicated to not calling Dahlia by her actual name. He will call her literally anything by a D, like he'll say like Dexter, or I think he said Depeche Mode. He will say anything but Dahlia, and I was so gone for his dedication to the bit. It was so funny to the very end. To the very he did not say Dahlia once. So yeah, I love how funny he is. Again, how unhinged. It was so good. The romance between Marcus, the and Preston, the push and pull, the tension. It was just fantastic. I loved every bit of that book. I never felt like it dragged. I was like in it from moment one. I was just so upset every time I had to put this book down. I gave this book 5 stars, obviously. I'm so upset. It took me so long to finally like get to this book because it's been out for like a month now. So, and there was like a little like tidbit from like Crave the Villain, which is the 3rd book in the like Hunt the Villain series. So I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think we were gonna get like a little snack for that series. So I'm really excited to get into that series when it gets released. So, or the 3rd book when it gets released. So I'm really excited for that. So thank you, Rena. Thank you for feeding us. But yeah, 5 stars. It was so good. I loved this book. Last but certainly not least, I read Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. Now, I was nervous to start this because people said that the FMC was kind of like insufferable because she makes a lot of bad choices. And you guys know how I feel about an FMC that makes bad choices. I hate them. But I could resonate with this FMC. So in this world, we have descendants and we have mortals. Descendants are like descendant from gods and they have big heads. And the FMC in here, she is a mortal and her mom has gone missing. And so she's trying to figure out where her mom is, if she's like dead or if like she's just gone missing. And the last person who was with her mom, who she saw her mom with, was descendant. So she's kind of like on the hunt. And then there's also like a rebellion going on. She's dealing with that. So there's a lot going on in this book. So I'm not going to really get deeper into it. Just know there's a lot happening. I did enjoy this book actually a lot because yes, the FMC, she makes a lot of bad choices, but she makes them with what she has. She is doing the best she can. This is a very unjust world, okay? And she's trying to do what she thinks is right. And the choices she makes with good intentions for her people, which are the mortals. And the descendants are the bad guys in the situations. Like, not all descendants are bad, but a vast majority of what she's seen are bad. So she's trying to do the best for her people. And, you know, sometimes that blows up in her face, okay? People get hurt, and that's never her intention. But sometimes it happens because of what she does. And she does regret them, sometimes instantly. Sometimes she makes a choice and she instantly regrets what she just did. And you know what? It happens. She's constantly second guessing herself. Me too. I can resonate with her. So, do I hate this FMC? No. Does she make bad choices? Yes. But she's doing the best she can. She's doing the best she can. The only time I hate an FMC for making bad choices is when she makes them blatantly so with no thought process. She is putting some thought into it. She is doing her best. And that's all I can ask. That's all I can ask. So, yes, I'm enjoying it. The pacing is good in here. The only thing is that the love interest in here, her childhood best friend, hate him. But there is another love interest in here. Love the tension. I'm interested to see how their like whole like relationship develops over time. They're dynamic. Would love to see that get more intense because I hate her childhood best friend. He's not the one. He's not the one, honey. He's not. He's not. Hate him. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed this book. I gave this book 5 stars. Absolutely so good. Now we'll see how her choices continue in the second book. We'll see if I feel the same way in the second book, because this one, standalone, really good. Next one, we'll see. We'll see if I still feel the same way. Keep me posted. Alright guys, those were the remaining books that I read for the month of July. I read 10 physical books, 5 e-reader books, and 5 audiobooks. So that brings us to a total of 20 books. Oof, that's a lot of books. That's a lot of books. I really have early Marissa to thank for that. She really killed it. She really killed it. Later Marissa, she was slacking, but she needed rest. Yeah, I definitely needed rest. But yeah, I think that was a great month. Great reading month. Pat myself on the back for that one. Yeah. But yeah, I think my favorite book that I read for the month of July would definitely be In the Veins of the Drowning by Callie Cassidy. Yeah, that was one of the books that I read in that 14-day span, and I was like in the thick of it. I was this close to just hitting a mini coma. I was sleep deprived, but that one really pulled me through. I was in it. I loved that book. That book was really good. So yeah, that was probably my favorite book out of that entire 14 books. So yeah, that was it. That one was so good. I loved that book. So yeah, definitely my favorite book of the month. Absolutely. So good. Definitely recommend. And then my most anticipated book. My most anticipated book for the month of August. Guys, there's so many books coming out next month. And I don't know. I guess my most anticipated book for next month would have to be maybe Adversary to the Villain, maybe. Adversary to the Villain would probably be it by Hannah Nicole Mayer, because that one drops next month, and I've been hyped about that series since the first book. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. What's the first book called? Yeah, since this book came out. Assistant to the Villain. You see my tabs? This is when I first started tabbing, and I kept my tabs out like this. Now my tabs look a lot more maintained, because I tab my books like this now. They're in the pages now. Not so much. The chaos is maintained now. I'm just gonna put that there. But yeah, I've been following this series for a while now. So we're gonna pretend that never happened. But I'm pretty excited about the series. I know that this 4th book that is coming out is not the end of the series. She keeps making more books, guys. She keeps making more books. I wish, although I do love this series, I wish there would be an end to their story. But I digress. That would probably be my most anticipated read for the month of August, since we are getting finally the 4th book in their series. And I'm hoping to get somewhere with their relationship. Hoping, please, someone, hopefully. But yeah, that's my most anticipated read, would be Adversary to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. But that is it, guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful reading month in July. Hopefully your reading month in August is just as fantastic, if not better. And that is all, guys. Until next time, read on, my bookish friends.